ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Grand Slam Journey podcast, where I, together with my guests, discuss various topics related to finding purpose, maximizing our potential, competitive sports, life after sports, and transitioning from one chapter of our lives to the next. If you want to learn more about my podcast, please browse my personal website and blog at grandslamjourney.com, which is a collection of my passion projects. Today's episode is with Samah Damanhoori. Samah grew up in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and came to the US in 2014 to pursue her master's degree in creative writing. Samah and I met about 2 years ago in a dog park. Sometimes I'm amazed at how many fantastic friends I have met because of my Rhodesian Ridgeback Ally. Pausing to reflect, it seems that Ali brought in some of the most amazing people into my life, who became some of my closest friends. I love dogs, and I find that people who love dogs are generally kind and warm-hearted human beings. This statement stands 100% true for my friend Samah. Today's episode is slightly different from my previous ones, as I wanted to talk about Samah's movie Medina Papel. Medina Papel, Paper City, is an 8-minute inspiring story of Ghafran, a Middle Eastern boy who is colorful and is finding his courage to own his colorfulness despite the pressure from the outside world that is telling him not to be different, not to be colorful. I love the narrative, as I think that the vast majority of us, if not all, can relate to this story, as it is something that may have happened to us or we may have felt in the past, or it may be a current reality we live in. The episode talks more about the story and also the story behind Medina Papel. The inspiration is based on Samah's experience, and it is created, produced, and written by Samah and her team. I highly recommend you to watch the video before you listen to this episode. You can find the YouTube link in the episode description notes, and watching it before will make your listening experience more enjoyable. In fact, my recommendation is to pause this podcast now, go watch it, and then rewatch it again after you listen to this episode to see how your understanding of the story and attention to detail change. During this episode, we discuss various topics revolving around the movie and the story behind Medina Papel, the process of creating an animation. We also discuss Samah's personal journey and the difficulties for her to come to America to pursue her education due to the male guardianship laws in Saudi Arabia. This episode is recording with my new mic, and I'm still figuring out the proper settings for it. I apologize for a bit of background noise in the middle of the episode that is caused by a plane flying by. It may be disturbing to your ears, but luckily it only lasts a short time. Last but not least, this episode concludes the first year of my podcasting journey, and I very much appreciate you all who listen and find this content interesting and inspiring. I have 2 exciting podcasts lined up for you for January and February, where we'll talk about 2 fun-to-read, inspiring, and interesting books you may want to purchase for yourself or your friends. Please stay tuned for more, and as always, I hope you enjoyed the listen. Hello, Samah, and welcome to the Grand Slam Journey podcast. It's great being here with you today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad I'm here, doing it together. So excited for what we're going to share with the audience and with you as well.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about this for a while, and your movie actually finally came out. I have to say I probably watched it like 4 or 5 times since you sent me the link. And every time I watch it, I actually find new pieces in just that, was it 9 minute? Is it roughly?
Almost 8. Yeah. 8 minutes.
So it's short, but we'll get a little bit into what does it even take to make a movie. But it has so much information in it, so I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit. But before we do, I always give my guests a chance to introduce themselves. So Samah, please feel free to introduce yourself to our guests.
Yes. So my name is Samah, and I am from Saudi Arabia. I came here with a Saudi scholarship But then my father canceled my scholarship due to the male guardianship system, so I had to find other ways to survive and establish my life and live my freedom as a woman and as a being in general. And then the people here in the Bay Area, they helped me find a place, donation, grants, any ways for me to finish my master's at Notre in creative writing. Then after that, I worked in many places here in the Bay Area, like Facebook and Apple. I did a documentary with HBO as well. And I created my own animation project that's called Medina Papel.
Yeah, thank you. Today, we're going to talk a lot about those aspects, and especially your animation movie, Medina Papel. So to dive in to guests who may not have seen it yet, I'll add the link, obviously, to the episode notes. What is Medina Papel about? When anybody watches it, what would you like people to take away from it?
I want them first to love themselves and accept themselves for who they are and show their true colors and not be afraid to show it. And accept everyone else for who they are and what the colors that they want to show to the world as well.
I love that. And then can you tell me a little bit more, maybe try to describe the story for those who haven't seen it yet?
Yes. So Medina is an Arabic word, means city. Papel, Spanish for paper. So it's a paper city world. So it's about a world that made of paper. And the only color they know is white. And they made them believe if they touch any new color is poisonous. Therefore, they die. So one of the papers were working outside to just collect more paper so they can build more stuff in that world was just outside, and then a hurricane happened. And it took him to a new world. It's very colorful. At the beginning, he was very scared to touch colors, but curiosity was stronger than anything. So he touches colors, and then he finds out that color is actually not poisonous. Nothing happened to him. And then he chooses to go back home and show everyone that being colorful is not poisonous. And the short movie of the story is the moment when the colorful paper decides to go back and show everyone that being colorful is not a big deal and it's not a problem. It's actually a joy and happiness.
Watching the movie, though, there are a few instances. I see the colorfulness in, actually, as your main character, it's he, right? Does he have a name?
His name is Gofran.
Gofran, okay. So Gofran goes back to the city. He's actually giving colorful gifts, seems like, to his family. Yeah. And at the beginning, when I was looking at the video, it seems that when he gives them the gifts, they, for a little bit, lose color. So when he has them, they're colorful, but when he gives them, they go back to white.
Yes.
Talk about a little bit of that aspect. What are you trying to say with that?
Absolutely. So just to clarify, Gofran and Samah, my name, both are Arabic adjective, means forgiveness. So that's why we chose Gofran as a male name for the main character. So going through Gofran, when he meets his family, he starts exchanging gifts that he brought with him from that colorful world. And then if you see, once he hugs his sister and his brother, the color actually goes to their body, stays for a little bit, and then fades away. We wanted to show in that scene that younger generation actually are more aware of these colors and more adaptable to these colors and these changes. And then when he gives his sister the colorful heart, she puts it right away in a necklace and she keeps it, and the color doesn't change.
Right.
It just means that woman or female in general in Saudi Arabia actually are changing and more adaptable to these colors and more aware of what they want in their lives, and they are not scared to show it. And then for the little brother, he wasn't aware of his colors. He's not sure what are colors in general. That's why we showed that in the scene of playing a football together, and how Gofran, every time he touches the color, it becomes colorful, but then the little brother turns it into white, and then eventually becomes colorful because the little brother also picked up the colors and he was able to embrace his colors as well. As for the mother, when she took the scarf and put it on her body, the colors fades away right away, is because mothers in Saudi Arabia, they give up on themselves, and they've been through a lot of not showing their colors, so they have no means and no ways or no understanding of how to show their colors. So she lost it. That's why she looked at Gufran in a sad eye, and she's like, I'm sorry, but I can't embrace my colors because, she doesn't know, and she's full of fears.
Yeah, thank you for that. I love that explanation. That makes total sense. Also, there's a little bit of the colorfulness. It seems like early when the father figure walks in, it seems like he tries to remember back how he was once colorful, and it seems like his parents sort of took it away from him, right? So there's a little bit of that resentment. But there's also quite a bit of color at the end of the movie where Gufran goes back to the father before he decides to leave again. And I know in his heart is burning, and then he actually creates this colorful plane and gives it as a gift to his son before he leaves on a journey again. Tell me a little bit more about those two aspects, and how would you like viewers to see them or perceive them?
So we chose the father as a way to describe all people who are always full of charges and anger. And it's also a huge comparison between him and the mother. The mother already gave up on believing in herself. So all the lights, all the colors fades away and it's no longer there. But people who are with anger and always agitated, always full of charges, it means they still have feelings. They still have dreams. They really want to make them happen, but it hurts them because it's been a while since they've ever spoken about it. And we chose the father to represent that. So in the scene, the moment he saw Gufran fully colorful, it's exactly what he wants to be. He still wants to be that. That's why he got so angry, because he's already old. He thinks that it's too late for him. But anyways, it hits him right away. He remembered that moment when he felt exactly the same as who Gufran became, fully colorful, when he made this airplane and he showed it to his parents, and he was so excited, like, look, I know colors, I know how to even carve stuff with it. And it was actually my father's dream. My father's dream is to become a flight attendant, but they forced him to go into petroleum industry and so on. So somehow this dream faded away, and he always talks about it. He always dreamed to be a flight attendant. And then right away it turns it into abuse, and he beats him and so on. But he's still emotional. He still has feelings. So once Gufran sees him again and hugs him, so the hug is what opened up the anger, opened up all the charges, is because we also want to highlight that people with charges are very sensitive too. Yeah. So right away, that fire turns into the airplane for Gufran to see that the father, this whole time, this anger was not out of hate to his son. It's actually out of his dreams that he never achieved.
Wow. I love a lot of things about it, because usually anger, when it comes out, I think people take it personally as it's the one or whoever the anger is portrayed towards. But I do love how you explain that anger typically comes from within. Yes. And it's usually related also to people hating something about themselves, or having self-judgment of things they could have done or should have done, or decided not to do for one reason or another. And it's just this, not sure if grudge is the right word, but sort of regret and judgment they hold against themselves. Are there other parts you want to highlight that you think are absolutely critical? Because again, when I watch it, I find pieces again and again. So what are the main points you would like people to pay attention to?
I don't know if you noticed this at the beginning when Gufran enters the city or the village, and then he walks and he's all colorful, but no one notices him. No one even sees that he's colorful. And we made the whole city festive. It's because it's actually the first day of Eid. And Eid is the month of celebration after Ramadan, fasting for a whole month or 30 days. And that was the month where people are allowed to be themselves, kind of. So they don't pay attention to what's going on around them, because they are busy discovering colors or just being happy a little bit. However, if you see when he was walking in the city, some were sitting down, some still sad, and all the colors are in the garbage. It's just because it's forbidden. And then the boy, when he came and his cheeks turn into yellow, and then the mother looks at him and then the colors fades. It's just, yes, you can be happy, but don't be too happy. Make sure not to show your colors. We wanted to show this contrast of this person who's fully free, fully being himself, but no one even sees him because this is how bad it is in Saudi Arabia. Even if it's celebration, even if it's month of celebration, but it's really sad. They're still following rules and restrictions and even how to be happy on the day of Eid.
Well, you shared a little bit about your father, and
Yes.
is it safe to say, or can we say to the guests,
absolutely.
it's the story that is inspired by your story and you coming here? After everything you have gone through and observed, what actually even inspired you to start with the movie to begin with? How did you find the energy to begin with this project?
So in 2014, so I came here with a Saudi scholarship, and for my father to even just say yes with all the male guardianship system, maybe I should explain what is the male guardianship system, where women are fully dependent on their male guardian or the person who says yes or no to whatever they want to do, whether it's work, studies, travel, renting an apartment, whatever it is. They have to have a permission to do whatever they want to do, and it depends on their father or their male guardian and how liberal they are and how open-minded they are about these women living their lives. My father was totally against me coming here, getting my master's or pursue my education without having a male companion. The only reason he said yes is because my sister and my brother-in-law were here in Campbell, specifically in the Bay Area. And after 3 months of my arrival, my sister just lost her scholarship because she couldn't find any acceptance, and she's been here for a year and a half, so she had to go back home. So my father was like, what are you doing there? Are you going to stay? I'm like, yes, I'm doing fine. I'm getting university acceptance and everything is going smooth for me. So he was totally against this idea, and he's like, no, you're coming back. You're going to get married and then you could do whatever you want. So I was totally against this idea, and I said no, and he got so angry and he didn't speak to me for almost a year. And then I hear about my family traveling, and that was my way or my ticket to go and see my father and have a conversation with him so I can continue staying in the United States and get the scholarship and the funding and finish my master's. And my plan is to finish my master's and go back, let my father do whatever he wants to do with me, marry me off, keep me at the house, whatever he wants. So I buy the ticket. They were going to Egypt. Before I leave, I write the story about Medina Papel, but it was a very a basic story about a paper wanted to be colorful, and eventually everyone accept this paper and so on. And then when I go and see my father, ugly things happen. It's exactly the same where the father was beating Gofran. It's exactly what happened in Egypt. He pushed me away, he bit me, and he said that I am a liar, I'm a cheater, and things like that. And he let me come to the United States. And then within 2 weeks of my arrival, I get a call from the Saudi embassy that my scholarship was canceled because my father no longer approved me staying here without a male companion. At the beginning, of course, I was victimizing myself and blaming my father, the government, the religion, and everything. And for some reason, I just knew that I wanted to have a conversation with my father. I really want the relationship not only to get back to what it was, but even better, because I love my family. No matter what they have done for me. Because people love me here, people trust me, and I know the reason why people love me and trust me is because they raised me. I come from that country, I come from that religion, I come from there. So there is a reason why I am good. There is a reason why I'm doing good things. So I wanted to just get that back in a healthier way. So I went crazy about the animation idea, and not only to build the bridge back, but also to heal myself and to find answers and to find more colors within to embrace and show and not be scared to show them.
Yeah, I love that. And it seems like it's a fantastic message. You used sort of your feelings as a channel to create something positive for yourself, something that actually inspired many other people, and seems like also bridged a little bit of the gap to communicate to your family, which seems like you couldn't communicate at that point with just words or your presence because the situation and things that happen. So I love this just an example of an art and being creative and using that creative energy for the video and to tell your story. Going to telling the story, it's fascinating how it evolved. What is the process actually of creating that animation? You said you started with a paper, but it seems like you created a whole script, like a story. And then tell me a little bit more. Like I've seen some videos before what it takes to create an animation, and it's crazy difficult. So what was the process like for you and your team?
It was enjoyable. It's just learning how to create animation. It's, education in general is amazing, and knowledge always helps you see more light and more doors and more possibilities for you to be. It wasn't easy because we were writing the script and the story while we were working on the project. Because once I pitched the idea, the basic idea, the whole team just came in. I mean, yes, we had some people come for a while and then leave, but there is always a team. So there was always this demand or the importance to work on the project and finish it as soon as possible. I mean, yes, it took me a while just because it was the first time ever to create a movie, first time ever to do an animation and be in the entertainment industry. But it's fascinating.
I'm curious. You said the team just came together.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is, I don't think that happened just like that, right? How did you find those people? It's like, oh, this is fantastic. I want to work with Samah and I'm going to bring the story into life.
Yes. I went to an animation group in San Francisco through Meetup. And I pitched the story to a group there, and there were also other people who came with ideas and they pitched it, but my story won. And then the team started to build characters on the original story that I wrote, that it's just basic. There is nothing about my father, just colors and white. And then every time I go to San Francisco, I was meeting people, and specifically students from Academy of Art University. And Academy of Art University is well known that animation department is one of the best. So a lot of them, they wanted to have projects to work on so they can have it on resume or as a credit at their university. So I got a lot of students from there at the beginning. And then they helped me to navigate through how to create an animation in general. So I learned that I needed animators, of course, a storyboard artist, which is very important because a storyboard artist translates the written word script into images and scenes for all the teams to translate that into, for example, the background, as you've seen, the living room, the mosque, and so on. This is a whole artist that worked on that. We needed also a stop motion artist for the scenes that was made in hand. That was all made by a person, and I will show it to you. I will send you pictures. Yeah. So we needed also a stop motion artist to work on the scenes for the stop motion. We needed 2D puppet animation. As you can see, the main characters, they walk like a puppet.
Yes.
That's a specific type of animation that it's puppet 2D animation. We needed a musician or music composer, a sound effect. We needed a marketing team. We needed producers' assistants because myself and my co-founder, we were the producers and the directors, but we also needed to fund the project. So sometimes we have to focus on funding and other things needs to still working on and moving while we're doing that. So we had also producers as assistants. We needed also a physical sponsor to sponsor the whole project because it was a nonprofit project and we wanted to make sure all the team are being paid and being respected for all their work and time and energy that they put in the project.
Wow. Didn't realize even the nonprofit and raising money like that alone is a huge task and a skill that is really difficult to pick up, I think, for people. How did you start with that even?
I just started talking out. I was like, I have a project. The team is already there. Oh, I forgot to say that we also needed a lawyer. It is really, really important for animation projects to have a lawyer because the ideas always all the time for animation is basic. It's about a white paper. I want it to be colorful. I want it to be accepted. And if I pitch it without asking people to sign an NDA, it is so easy for people to steal it. Also, when they write the script, they have to register it and make sure it's copyrighted before they even share it with the team or with anyone, because people come and go. You never know where the story is going to go. As long as you're established well and you're protected, then there is no worry to go out and share the story, because no one can steal it anymore. You are protected by the law. What was the question I wanted to answer again?
The nonprofit,
Yeah. I just started reaching out to people. I already did it when I was looking for funding from my university after my father canceled my scholarship, and I was looking for grants and way to just pay at least half of my tuition to finish the second year. And then with the help of the people in the Bay Area, when people believes in something, they open doors for you. Not necessarily that people would give you money, but they will make you reach out to people who can pay. And I didn't look for big funding from specific group or companies or people or individuals. I got, for example, $10 donation or $100 or so on. And at the beginning, I was sad, and I was like, maybe I didn't do a lot of work or good work. But then eventually I learned they are actually my fans. I actually have more fans if I have more donation, more people are aware of what I'm doing and what the story is.
I do just want to go back. You mentioned the scholarship, even in your personal journey. Like, this to me is still so crazy and just puzzling how in 2021, almost 2022, somebody can just call in, and you're obviously an adult already, but that someone has the power to actually cancel admission or revert your acceptance and scholarship on your behalf. Is that just for Saudi Arabia, or that's the only country because of the male guardianship laws that are in place?
It's in Saudi Arabia. It's all the Gulf countries. So United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain. Even though Saudi Arabia is the only one that it's officially a law, but in the other countries it's not a law, but they have the power to stop or cancel or not give any permission to anyone to travel or do whatever they want.
But it's just so strange. How does the law stand? Maybe I should have done more research on this, but I don't understand how it translates to a completely different country. Like, I could understand, all right, I live within the country. The laws where I live are the laws, right? There could be also this, not a law, but like the custom, sort of, that's probably what you're talking about. Some of the other countries, like, that's just the way of life, and it's kind of unwritten law in a sense, right? But I'm still puzzled. It's just such a global world nowadays. How does your father, or kind of overall the government, have a power to cancel something like that in a completely different country, in a university that has nothing to do, right, with Saudi Arabia?
They wanted to do more, but because I was in the United States, all that they were able to take away from me was the scholarship and the money. They couldn't drag me or like force me to fly back. My father couldn't come here and beat me or like punish me or even kill me, on a killing or whatever reasons. He was so scared to come here because of the law here. However, they did whatever they had control in, which is the scholarship.
That's so interesting. I maybe have to look into these things, because I'm just so puzzled. They even
offered a ticket. They're like, I remember an email from the Saudi embassy after when I had a call told me that it's been canceled. They said, please go to your portal and book a ticket back home. Otherwise, we will report you to the Ministry of Education in Saudi Arabia. And I know that's scary for a lot of Saudi women, but they have no idea that they live in the United States and the law here is different. So they also play with us mentally.
I mean, I'm sure that's a lot of that, really, intimidation, or just the things of that
Imagine
you grew
it's
up
like
in.
North Korea.
You're
raised up that this is the only system. This is the only system that it's right. And if you don't follow, you're punished. And I can get you anytime, anywhere you are in the world. And that's what I've been told my whole life. Like, no matter where I go, they can always get me back. And that's terrifying. That's terrifying if anyone comes with a threat. And I know a lot of Saudi women who wanted to stay, but they got scared and they went back. It's just they believed in that system and in that cycle and belief that they were raised on in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. It's really hard if you grew up in it, and especially hard if you're not able to travel out very much, right? So that makes it even harder, because we all are, whether we want it or not. I mean, I strongly believe how you're raised and what your childhood is and upbringing, it instills a lot of things into your brain. We grow up with stories, and they can be positive, negative, maybe mixed. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the responsibilities we have as we grow older as adults is to filter through that mess. I call it a mess because I think it often is. And then figure it out what is true for you and what you want to live with. And what do you want to discard? What is eventually not serving you? And I think this goes back with a lot of traditions. Maybe, sure, if you like the traditions, keep them. If you don't like them, get rid of them. I think that's the amazing things as an adult. You can choose for yourself because you don't have to respond to anybody else. Right? People probably say, Clara, you might be crazy. There's some traditions. I'm probably the least traditional Czech ever. If there's more people like me, maybe Czech traditions would die. So I'm not saying just the way I've decided to live, but I can see it's probably just way more easier also for me because I've always traveled around. If you're able to see kind of the different life in different countries and just, this is really not that normal. You start opening your eyes to what's actually happening in other countries and around the world and how life is elsewhere. I think people are then more likely to have that judgment. But if you just grow up, and especially if there's somebody who has so much power and control over you, how can those other women that are there that may not able even to travel out, how do you even feel the difference? Because I think that in order to make a change, it's a lot of, sure, courage. But I think once you start feeling what different situation looks like, there can be very much of a driver of
absolutely
changing that habit and narrative and saying, this is stupid rule. Yeah. I choose to live somewhere else and do something else because I think that life fits me better than the old one or the one that most of other people live where they come from, which actually is really what you have chosen for yourself.
And I'm hearing that you did the same.
I love how you started actually the podcast and what you want people to take away from it, the true colors, find out who you really are and just let other people see it. Own your uniqueness. I think we all are unique. Well, I think on a big category, there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time, we can be very unique. So how do you find that uniqueness? How do you find those true colors? Do you have any tips, or is there any other message you want to get out and inspire people, anyone who may be listening or seeing your video?
That's a really good question because this is something that I'm going through right now, which you're aware of. I mean, you're a dear friend and a great sister that I'm so grateful to have in life. So when I started this whole journey, I was living as a survivor. So just wanted to secure myself and make sure, that I don't end up in a bad situation or just regret choosing to stay here and work for myself and for my freedom. And I buried that pain that I was abandoned by my country and my family for a very long time, for almost 7 years. And I left the Bay Area a year ago and I went to LA, and that was the first time I lived in another place that it's not the Bay Area. Yes, I've been in too many states here, but I've never lived and changed location. And that really hit me hard and made me more aware for that pain to come out and be aware of. And it made me learn to accept, for people like us who choose to be free and break so many cycles and break so many traditions, to really accept that we are really alone in some reason, not in a bad way, that you are really alone, you are different, you are so unique, and if you look around you, there is no one like you, and sometimes this is painful. And I used to bury that pain, and I'm like, no, that's impossible. But now I came to a point where I am fully accepting this. I'm fully aware of it, and it is okay to be unique, it is okay to be lonely, it is okay to be different, and enjoy the moment and the people around me, no matter what the past is bringing to me. And I'm also learning that we're systems. And these stories, when they come back, we have actually the power and the control to really rewrite them and make them in a way that we can still see the beauty in the day.
Yeah, I 100% agree. A lot of it is about the perception, I think, and how we tell the story. And one thing you said, kind of the loneliness or owning your uniqueness and discover you're alone, right? But you're not. But I do agree with that. And it goes back to even fitting in.
Yes.
A lot of people often say, oh, I'm just so weird, so different. You can hear it from everybody. Whether it's actually in my previous company when I worked, we had the ERGs, and I was very grateful to be part of many different ERGs. It have been, LGBTQ plus ERG, it was the younger talents ERG, it was the women's ERG. And the cool thing about being part of it actually was the realization that despite those different groups, it seems like the underlying thing was the same. They all felt like they're alone, they all felt like they're not being listened to, and they all felt like they don't have either opportunities or they're not being given opportunities quickly enough. And they all felt like they're from the outside looking in. So I wonder, it's probably not just these groups. I think we all have that feeling in one way or another. It is how we either embrace it or how we deal with it. But sometimes the force of wanting to fit in too much can be actually more detrimental, I think, than being okay with who you are. Because really, if you are okay with who you are, there's almost no comment that can offend you. You're kind of unshakable. Because really, I think in a sense, it's not what other people tell us, but what we decided to take in and filter through. Based on your story, that's kind of what you have gone through and are going through. It's definitely something I have experienced, and I'm sure if the two of us sitting here at the table, I'm sure there's many other people outside. So thank you for stating that, and hope this short story inspires them to own their uniqueness and maybe feel less like they need to fit in and just find your own groups of people who accept you with the uniqueness the way you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. And I want to share with you and your audience that right now I'm working on a new project, a new animation. Wow. And it's about womanhood. Because that's Fantastic. What I'm going through, that's what I'm learning. And then when I did research what is womanhood, we are right now in a time that women are still figuring out what are the stages for womanhood to go through to live their womanhood fully.
I look forward to that and maybe another deeper discussion on, once it's launched. That sounds fantastic. Maybe just to end with, Samah, thank you for all you share, just as letting us into your personal story and the story you've created with your team, which is fabulous and inspiring. I know you have gone through a lot the past number of years, and people have as well with the pandemic. Is there anything you want to inspire them to do more of or less of as we look into 2022?
Keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Thank you so much, Samah.
Thank you so much for having me, Claire.